Morning.
Good morning.
So that's a little bit different order, right? For those of you who aren't in church all the time, it may seem just regular, but we usually read the Old Testament and then the letter, from Paul, and then the Gospel. I mixed it up this morning. I don't know, just to throw a curve at you. But also because I want you to see, I want to hear, this is what happened. This is what happened when God called Isaiah. A pretty dramatic reading, right? I mean, he sees this vision with smoke and incense. We didn't do incense this morning, but smoke and incense and live coals being attached to your lips. And then this call, to go to my people. And Isaiah says, okay, here I am, send me. A long time later, Jesus comes along, and he's known to these fishermen. They know him. Maybe they've been friends with him, maybe they've just seen him preach, but whatever, he has a relationship with them. But this time is a little bit different. He comes, and they've been fishing all night. They're tired. These people have a booming fishing business. The Sea of Galilee, the Lake of Gennesaret, the Sea of Galilee. It's a big lake. There's a lot of fishing businesses there. Historians say probably about 250, right? Boats, businesses out plying those waters. So they're not poor fishermen. Anyway, they're also hardworking fishermen. They've been out all night long. Then Jesus comes along. They drag their nets out of the boat. They're going to get them dry and then go home and go to bed. Anybody have a night shift ever in your life? Right? You look forward to bed. But no, Jesus comes along and he says, hey, I kind of need those boats because I'm going to preach. So, okay, whatever. They row him out. He preaches. Who knows how long he preaches. And then he tells them, remember, he's a carpenter, not a fisherman. He's a carpenter, rabbi, teacher. He is not a fisherman. But he says, hey, okay, so now you guys go back out into the deep and try it again. And they do. There is something about that relationship that's already built up, something about who he is, that they trust him, and they drag their tired bodies that just want to go home and go to bed back out into the lake. And of course, we know the rest of the story. A huge haul of boats. They're partners. They've got this partnership going on between at least two families, Simon and Andrew, James and John, the dad, Zebedee. They get the whole company gets out there and hauls in this load of fish. And then Jesus says, okay, now your lives are really about to change. Because now I want you to take what you know about fishing for fish in the lake and come and follow me. I need your expertise now because we've got other business to do. Now, these fishermen, they go back to fishing. It's not like they just abandon forever their boats, particularly when they're in need of solace. Like when Jesus dies, they go back and they fish again. So when Jesus calls them, he doesn't mean that they forever and ever abandon their business. They take what they know and it gets shifted and changed and enriched and made fuller. But they still have that business model, you might say, sustaining them. So that's what happens when God calls Simon and James and John. Their lives really change. Then we listen to what happened when God called Paul. Now, Paul, we don't get the story of the dramatic story of his falling off his horse, being blinded by light from heaven, and God, a voice coming from heaven. We don't get that story here. We get what happens after that. And what happens after that is his pattern of life so changes that he, instead of persecuting and standing by while people are stoned to death, right? He says, I harassed God's church. That is a minor word to say what he was doing. He was really harassing God's church. His life turns around, and he becomes the person who reconciles with people he didn't like beforehand. He reconciles with them. He goes to them. He becomes friends with them. He becomes friends with his enemies. So that's what happens when God calls Paul. What happens when God calls Isaiah? What happens when God calls Simon and James and John? What happens when God calls Paul? And you know where this is going, right? What happens when God calls you? Because we all have stories. We all have stories about how you got here this morning. Like how you got sitting here, gathering here on a rainy, cold day here at Good Shepherd. You might have been invited to join a scout troop, but somebody invited you, right? I mean, you didn't just randomly wake up one morning. I don't know. I'd love to hear how all of you got into this troop. Maybe it was your older brother and you're looking forward to it. You get to join. And how did we all get here? Probably somebody, we had some relationship with somebody who invited us here. One of the things that we did yesterday in our vestry retreat was we spent quite a bit of time telling stories. Just telling stories about how we got here, about where we came from, where we were raised, what changed in our life to bring us to California or to the Salinas area, and what changed in our life when we came to Good Shepherd. I bet there are many, many stories of what happened when people came to our preschool. How did they come to the preschool? Sometimes people come through the website, just simply they're looking for a place. But almost always, they check that out with some friends. Have you heard anything about Good Shepherd Preschool? Right? One of the favorite things when we ended our retreat yesterday was when we said, okay, what was the highlight of the day for you? The highlight for virtually everyone was hearing the stories of how we got here, how we got called to be here. So you can be guaranteed that however you got here, however it is that you are sitting here this morning, it's not random and it's not an accident. God has something in mind for you, for your life, for the habits and patterns of your life. Maybe it's just going to be a one tiny change. I don't know what it is that God has in mind for each one of you or for me, but it's something good. It's something for good, and it's something that's going to stretch you just a little bit more beyond your comfort level. Just a little bit more beyond where you're comfortable. To go out, maybe it's going to be, Isaiah accompanied his people through their captivity in Babylon. I mean, that was a big calling. All of these are big callings that we hear about this morning. But for you, maybe it's just, that you get your running shoes out by the door every morning, and then you see your running shoes there. And then one morning you put your running shoes on, and you go out for 5 minutes. And then you end up like Tom. And you're running marathons. Maybe it's that you're gonna, forego that third glass of wine. Just one. I don't know what that little change is going to be for you. Maybe it will be that you go, hey, that wasn't so bad coming out on a Sunday morning. Maybe I'll do it again. Maybe I'll step up and, go to that Stolen Money book study on Tuesday. Maybe, like Sandy, God's calling you to, into retirement. And to who knows what next. What next? But guaranteed it's something good. God is for you. God is with you. God is in front of you, calling you forward into whatever is coming next. You can trust that. Amen.